What's up, Nick Havochaholics? Back with another video. And this one is called When Flat Earthing Goes Wrong. Volume 1. Because I'm sure I could make a few volumes of this. But I just want to state, just for the record, that I typically don't believe that we live on a tilting, whirling, twirling, spinning ball that has water bending and sticking to the outside of it. And we also have a pressurized atmosphere that somehow rests next to the vacuum of space and doesn't get sucked off. I know it's gravity. I already know the answer, guys. You don't need to comment it. I already know it's gravity. Gravity is the answer for everything. However, I typically don't believe that. Well, why would they lie? I don't know. Why wouldn't they lie? Answer me that. Why wouldn't they lie? But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is when flat earthing goes wrong. And like I said, although I typically believe we don't live on a spinning ball, some of the shit you'll hear in the flat earth community is downright laughable. It is a clown show. If you like drama, join the flat earth community. It's free. And one of the things that I hear all the time, and I hear this from like prominent, big name channels, flat earth channels, and they still go with this one that you can somehow see through the moon, that the moon is see-through. Do you guys not understand how eclipses work? If it was see-through, how could you have an eclipse? That's just for starters. Think about that one. How could you have an eclipse if you could see through the moon? Anyways, you couldn't. But they're like, well, haven't you seen these flags of these Middle Eastern countries? They have a star in the middle of it. It shows like a crescent moon with a star. That means you can see through the moon. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's a stupid thing to bring up. Okay. The better argument that y'all make is when you look up at the moon, like a full moon in the daylight, and you see blue patches in it. It would make one think that you're seeing through the moon to the sky behind it. You would think that. I mean, to anybody that didn't know any better, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And I thought that too for a while. I was like, yeah, how else would that work? But if you think about it, guys, have you ever looked at like multiple mountain ranges that go off into the distance? Well, I have, because I do a lot of hiking. And I can tell you that the further off the mountains get into the distance, the darker blue they get. They get blued out. I got some examples for you. Boom, number 1. See how the mountains in the background are bluer than the mountains in the foreground? The mountains in the foreground have color, and then they get all blue the further you go back. Here's another example. Boom, number 2. See that? Same thing. Same exact thing. The further out you get, that atmosphere is covering up the mountains. It's that blue sky is occluding it. It's the same reason why you can't see forever. Well, how come I can't see England from New York? Because for one, it's too far away. You can't see forever. But for two, you're going to have the atmosphere occluding that. You can't see forever through that atmosphere. Here's another example. Boom, number 3. See, do you get the point now? The further stuff is into the distance, the bluer it gets, and that's going to go for the moon too. It's going to adhere to those rules as well. So when you're seeing it in the sky, the parts of the moon that are not lit up are being occluded by the blue sky. The blue sky is in front of it. The only reason you're seeing that moon at all is because it's lit up and it's shining through the blue sky. And yes, I do think the moon is lit. It's a self-lit luminary, whatever. I mean, that thing's putting off its own light. Have you ever seen, well, I'm sure you have, but go out and look at the full moon on like a clear night, and that thing's as bright as street lights. It's as bright as car headlights coming at you. It's no joke. That thing is bright. I have a hard time believing that is reflecting, that gray sand up there is reflecting the sunlight from 234,000 miles away, and it's bouncing back, and it's that bright because it's reflecting sun off sand. That doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. I think the thing is lit up, and that's why we're seeing it during the day, because it's lit up and you're seeing it through the sky. And not only do I have that common sense explanation that should make sense to everybody, but I also have video evidence that I recorded myself about 7 years ago. Yep, I got the star Aldebaran eclipsing the moon, going behind the moon and coming out on the other side. And guess what, guys? You can't see it when it goes behind the moon. It goes black. You can't see it. And then it comes out the other side. I do have this video still posted on my other channel. It's called Star Eclipse, Aldebaran Passes Behind the Moon. But let's go ahead and start this here at about 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Play. Okay, as you can see, the moon is about halfway lit up, half of it's dark, and the star Aldebaran is coming in from the left. Okay, and I don't have one of those fancy tripods that moves with the moon and stuff, so I just had to keep moving it. But yeah, right here, it's getting ready to disappear behind. Boom! I lose focus. It's gone. You can no longer see the star. Okay, and at the time I was filming this, I was like big into flat Earth. I was like new. I mean, this is way back in 2017. Yeah, just for people that don't believe me, this was filmed May 31st, 2017. So go ahead and check your star logs and you'll see that Aldebaran went behind the moon. Which, how does that even happen? The star went behind, it's going faster than the moon behind, what? Anyways, guys, here's some sped up time lapses. As you can see, the other stars actually going faster than the moon as well, coming in from the left. It's coming up here, it's coming up. Like I said, I don't have one of those fancy tripods that moves with it, so I had to keep just resetting and recording, resetting and recording. But here in a second, you're going to clearly see Aldebaran pop out on the right side of the moon. And this whole time, can you see it? Can you see it through the dark side of the moon, that star? No, you cannot. Because trust me, guys, when I did this footage, I thought I was going to be like the most famous flat earther of all times. I was like, I'm going to get this footage. I'm going to get this star going behind the moon. We're going to be able to see it. There it is. Here at about 3:45, it has now popped out onto the right side of the moon. Clear as day. There it is. It went completely behind the moon, came out on the other side. You could not see it at all when it was behind the moon. And why is that? Because the moon is a solid object. I don't know what it is. I don't know how far away it is. I don't know how big it is, but I mean, how can that not be proof that it is a solid object? Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physicist. I'm just a guy trying to use some common sense. And these are all my opinions. However, I could be right